We are live. It's been a while. Thank you, everybody, for coming and spending Thursday night with us. I can't believe how long it's been since I've done a stream. I've had a lot of conventions and a lot of stuff going on, and then just covers and everything kind of snowballs. And so, yeah, the channel it took a bit of a backseat for a bit there, but this is a stream that I have been excited to do for quite a while. We've been talking back and forth, today's guest and me, for a little while about doing this, and I wanted to just take whatever time I could get to get him on. He is a Eisner Award winning fan favorite artist from both Marvel and DC. My favorite stuff is Conan. I love the Daredevil stuff. He's got, I think, longer than me. I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's been even longer. Not too much, but a long career in comics. So I'd really like to welcome Cary Nord.
Thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, for me, 31 years.
31 years. So yeah, a year longer. It's not too much, but a year when you're starting, I swear, it feels like you're an older artist now. That's all there,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's starting to sound like a career or something.
Did you think when you started that it would be a lifelong career, or did you think? Yeah.
I thought that after every job I ever had, that would be my last job I'd ever have. It's like, oh, they're never going to hire me again after this mess. And they did. So here I am.
Yeah, that seems to be how it kind of goes for a lot of people. You doubt the work, and it goes in, and you get more, and so it just continues. And here we are, 31 years for you, just crazy. Yeah. So we have Conan here. We're painting Conan. Cary, okay. So just as a quick precursor, so mine here is pencil with red colored pencil. We talked about this earlier. Cary's going to use some red colored pencil on his. I didn't know what I was doing with the red colored pencil, so I might have got carried away. I don't know. We'll see what Cary's going to do. Cary's picture, which is beautiful, is much more gestural, and maybe you wanted to kind of explain why that is.
For me, yeah, it's basically I can't commit to a hard line, which is kind of getting in the way of drawing comics. Because I'm seeing everything in form, and then once I start, so if I were to ink this or put like a real dedicated line down, I'd probably start painting, and then I'd see like, oh man, that's, once I see the form, I'd be like, that shoulder's way off or something, and then I'm going to want to fix it. So if I have an ink line, well, that's in there. You can't, that's hard to, I like to and sort of like build, like this looks pretty good, so I'll probably start there, and the arm's okay, and then I'll get over here. I bet you I'll be like, oh, that's wrong. So, exaggerating and fine with paint. Usually I leave like hands, feet, and to the end. Oh, am I still on?
So you're still on. It's cutting out a little bit. I should mention, Cary's out in the country, and so the internet connection can be a little spotty, and every once in a while we end up with a little bit of a glitch, but for the most part, in testing, we've been pretty good. So
for the most part, I'm here.
Yeah, now that we're live, it's
yeah. So anyway, that's it. I just like to leave it vague. So find the form as I go. Right. So.
Yeah, it looks vague and really not at the same time. Like it's like all the form really works well. And using is that a HB, a 2B? It's a bit of a softer pencil.
Yeah, I think this might be a 2B. I can't see. HB.
And for mine, I used a 2H because I don't know any better. I always end up using.
Pardon me?
I use a 2H.
2H?
Yeah, I always use a 2H. It's like it's crazy how difficult it is for me to just kind of back up and go, okay, let's try something different. Which is why it's so good to be doing these.
Why are you using a 2H? Is it? I'm going to guess that is because that was the advice given to us back in the 90s. We're trying to break in. All the pros were saying use 2H and don't use hard leads or darker leads or softer, I guess.
Right. Yes. And that is why it was right from my earliest days in comics. And so it's like my default, unless I'm using my head, which clearly wasn't one, because I would have actually went with a softer lead. I think it would have been better.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just didn't cross my mind actually until, so we talked about this before we started here, and Cary mentioned that he uses a softer lead, and I still just kind of forgot. So fortunately I've got my red. So hopefully that should help.
There you go.
Keith
Yeah, I
Dodson says
find
it doesn't smear as bad, which is true.
I wonder how far set back we were as artists, because I never learned how to ink.
Mhm.
So I'm starting to learn how to ink, and then the common advice back in the 90s was like, don't ink yourself, yeah. Oh, and I stopped learning how to ink. I set myself back 20 years, trying to, and then I, like 20 years later, I'm like, oh, I should figure out how to ink finally. So just imagine how much better I could have been had I been doing it all along, or maybe worse. You never know.
Well, I know I didn't really start inking. I inked a couple of things here and there, but I didn't really start inking regularly until 2017. That is not long ago at all. So
Yeah, I think I was only a couple of years before you.
Yeah, well, and working in monthly comics, it's I have a choice. I can do monthly, or I can ink my own work. And I was a monthly artist, so you kind of stick with what you know.
Sorry, cut out there.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's like for a second.
Yeah. So last thing I heard you say was you could either ink or pencil. I believe what you're getting at.
Well, I could either ink and do it all myself, which would be great, or I could ink and pencil, or I could just pencil and beat a monthly deadline. That's really, that's all it came down to. So. So we're going to be doing these pieces tonight in watercolor as soon as Cary comes back. And again, he's out in the country in Canada, and it's just the nature.
We're
of
lucky we even have power out here.
Yeah. So I've got all my watercolor kind of ready to go. Anyway, I've got the full list. Actually, I got all these. I did a stream with Brian Selfries, and we were going to use watercolor, so I made sure to get everything, and then we ended up using acrylic. So, but I've got them, so I'm good to go.
Watercolors do you use?
These are Winsor & Newton, and it's just what they have at the store here. I've got a Michaels, unless I want to go over to the States. I've got a Michaels, and that's what they carry.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm like one of those guys who doesn't know anything about materials, or not enough, Like there's some guys that are so well versed in materials, and they know what materials to use. I feel like a fake artist sometimes.
I don't think that's. I think that's the opposite of true, because you can worry about materials to the point where it just becomes like science, but it doesn't make you more creative. It doesn't add, drama and well executed color and form to a picture. So I think it's good to know the tools for sure, but it's nowhere near as important as knowing the work.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think I was gonna say I was in a band for a lot of years, and I was just like guitar player, and then I never paid attention to sound that everyone's looking for. Everyone's always talking about their sound, and I equate the same thing with art. It's like I just wanted to do the art. I didn't want to fuss around with.
Yeah, I think sound for musicians is basically, for the most part, they're all broke, just like artists, and so it's whatever they have, and then you can spend years trying to recreate a sound that somebody had just because they had a broken piece of equipment.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, yeah. So if you want to start, I'm all ready to go, painting wise.
Okay. Now I would just start, but I don't know how to paint with watercolor at all. And so I'm kind of waiting for you. So I'm basically going to be following what you're doing, which is why I'm kind of waiting, which is fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. I was just killing time here. Yeah. So this is where I use the pencil crayon. Is after I get this like loose kind of form, I start picking out the lines, which is why I like it, because it's not. You can fix this stuff, like paint over it. It's not like ink. Ink's always. I used to do this in ink, and then I just be stuck with the lines I made.
See, this
so
makes sense.
I do a quick little.
Sorry, you're doing a final drawing with the red. For me, I basically traced the final drawing that I did in pencil. So
yeah, but I mean, like, look how tight yours is. That's not what's happening with me.
Well, it's going to end up being a very different feel. And your work, the painted stuff that you do is, it's beautiful, but it can be really ephemeral too. Like it has a lot of subtlety to it. And that's not a thing that people very often say about my work. So I think, we have Eric here too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm busy watching. I have a benefit tonight of really watching the process.
So here's the deal. I've been so busy and just doing so many things. I forgot to tell Eric before today. And so I told him today, and there's just no way he'd get a drawing finished. So he's with us. And on top of that, now I'm forgetting to introduce everybody.
Way to go, Dave.
I know.
Yeah, I'm really excited to. I'm a big fan of Cary, so I'm really excited to see how
so you're ahead of me. I'm just doing this quick little outline, like just.
So that looks like a collie race. I guess that's a very nice hard lead, I think.
Yeah. When you said colored pencil or pencil crayon, I assumed you just meant colored pencil by another word, but I think that's actually like a non-repro red if you want it to be.
It's not collie race, right?
Yeah, it is a color race. Yeah. Prismacolors. Love these.
Get those while you can. They're
they're out of business.
I know they've stopped making quite a bunch of them. So.
Anyway, I just do this quick little outline, and then we can jump right into the paint. You're like welcome to jump ahead if you're just sitting there bored.
No, I'm not bored. I'm enjoying watching, actually.
Okay.
And I would just put your drawing on full screen, but since it's a vertical picture, it would just be a lot of blank screen. So I just kind of left mine there. But really, I'm more than happy to sit and watch how this is coming along right now.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, from this point, I just start like laying in. The next thing I'd do is like sepia tones or something like that. Have you ever done any oil painting, Dave? I think you said you did.
Yeah, not a huge amount, but I have done it. Yeah.
Did you what's your process for that?
I feel like it's tough for me to just say a process because I don't really know what I'm doing. But ideally I like the idea of just using a sepia tone kind of underpainting, kind of work out the forms that way, and then build more opaque colors, from there. I never make it work that way. It always ends up going like I'll do my sepia, I'll start putting in opaque colors, it doesn't work, and I'm going back and forth, and it's a fight.
Mm-hmm.
How it goes.
I mean, I haven't tried to oil paint in 10 years, so. But I like that practice or that starting point of laying down just like sepias and shadows and kind of getting two tones, and then building off of that.
Yeah, Extreme maybe asks what kind of music you listen to while creating. Does it affect the art?
Me? Gosh. You know what? Lately, I don't listen to music anymore, unless I'm out in a cafe or something, which I like to do a lot of work. But I'm a metal guy. I like to listen to metal. But even then, like, I'm starting to get to that point in my life where I like silence. So I'll listen to podcasts or audiobooks.
Yeah, look, I love metal. It's my favorite, but you still have to be in the right mood for it. It can be a lot. We have a super chat from Adam Gehring for $9.99. Thank you so much, Adam. And he says, just because, thanks for everything you do. Well, thank you very much, Adam. Very much appreciated. By the way, I see Dennis Kelly and Anthony G here, JDSCT. We have Russ Hicks, our moderator. Meredith would say moderator extraordinaire. Osmosis Art says, good to see you, Dave. Good to see you. Dennis Kelly. Did I already say that? Dang it. And oh, hey, Tegamo Model Works is here. Good to see you, Tegamo. And JDSCT says, hey, Cary, nice to see you here. Absolutely loved Folklore. Great book. So if you're coming on just a little bit later, Cary's kind of breaking up here and there just for a minute because he's out in the country, but he's always back in just a second. And when he's back, it's a nice place. So yeah, it's working out. Soy-based Jeremy says, hey, Dave. Hey, Soy-based Jeremy. Thank you for being here. That Boy Ain't Right says, what's the best medium to bang out artwork to improve by doing faster? I found charcoal has helped more than pencils. What about inks or paint? Great stuff. You have any opinions on that?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
I mean, charcoal, I love it. It's a figure drawing course or something, but yeah, I don't know, man. Whatever you feel comfortable in, really.
Oh, yeah.
Some people it's paint. I couldn't answer that. I don't think.
Yeah.
For me, I like looseness. I like things that give me space to be loose and then tighten up.
You know, I do too. I go very, very loose, like a big, sketchy kind of a thing, and then I lighten it down and I go tighter on that, and that can take a couple of rounds, So yeah, but then when I end up with tight pencils, I go basically. I'm so used to working with inkers that I'm doing something that could be inked. I mean, that's the idea. Tegamo Model Work says it's 101 degrees here and I don't have AC, so I love you guys. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for suffering for us. And it is amazing to see it come together with the red, and it right away just gives it a lot of life, like a lot of bounce.
Oh yeah, it's that bad.
What's that?
I'm in the show.
Oh yeah, you're here. We can hear you.
Good Lord. All right. Yeah. So I don't know what did we decide on?
So I think what you said was going with a sepia tone to start.
Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of my next move for this thing.
All right. You have a color preference for that?
I just use browns. This is my watercolor set. It's great. Winter Newton, like travel pack. It's great for conventions and stuff. And that's mostly where I do all of any kind of painting, convention art. So that's what I use.
All right.
And I just grabbed the brown and maybe a little bit of orange and red mixed in.
All right. So I'm putting out.
And so what I do, I learned this from Andrew Robinson, and I like to do it too. So this is where I think like an oil painter in watercolor medium, which is really stupid probably, but it's what I do. So I just kind of like to get a base color down. I don't recommend this necessarily, but this is what I do.
I've seen both ways kind of advocated, and I agree with them both.
What's the other way? Just like going.
The other way is just paint in color one by one, basically in a block in areas.
How do you choose the color?
Has a super chat. Sorry for $2. He says Cary Nord, next best Conan after Barry Windsor Smith. That is fine company.
Wow, that is very fine company.
How do you choose the color for your base?
How do I choose the color?
Hmm?
Was that the question? How do I choose?
Yeah.
I think I like to start off with it depends on what it is. Like Conan's always, those Frazettas were always brown tones and stuff, and he kind of set the bar for that. So I always like that, just sort of browny yellow sepia tones for a base. And you don't want anything too dark, so you can cover it up. Once that dries, then it's a nice little you can like paint over top of it and add shadows and all that kind of stuff. So nothing too dark.
Okay. So Cary, you don't worry too much about preserving white at all for
well, I find like once this is like even putting these strokes down, like there's kind of a the big strokes were for a reason. Like you kind of get this light pattern.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like chance, and it's also kind of, it's a happy accident, I think. It's like, so the stroke right here over the woman is like light skin, and women are usually lighter skinned than men. And the Conan's got the dark stripe. So like those kind of things I just watch for and kind of pick out the things I like in that sense. So once that dries a little bit, then we can paint in some darks and go from there. I don't know. Yeah, see, I think that looks great already. You already got like that Frazetta vibe going.
Well, the red really, it does stand out under there. I like it.
Can I do a little plug while we're doing the base here for David's art book?
Yeah.
I'm going to post a link in here. They just came in today. There's a link I'm posting for you guys in the chat. It's a soft cover version of his Marvel Art of Volume 1. And we'll be shipping out probably after San Diego. So appreciate you guys taking a look.
And the books from the Kickstarter are in. Jason's got them at his place. And he just spent the last few days breaking his back, getting them all set up. I'm going to be heading there just in about 2 weeks or so. San Diego. So just a little bit more, I think 3 weeks. I'm going to get them all signed and we're going to get them all sent out. So that's coming. So yes, thank you for your patience, everybody. It's shipping from China. I mean, they were printed a little while ago. It took a while for them to get here.
Well, they're on a boat. So
they're on a boat.
It's a long way around.
But they're here.
They are here. They came out great. So we're now just getting everything organized. But the soft cover pre-order is now online. The only way to get the hardcover
let's go.
So just as a side note for all of our Kickstarter
show
supporters.
And there's another a book you wanted to talk about.
Yes, J.G. Jones's art book is up as well. I'll put that link in the chat as well for all of you who are interested. Please check it out. Hopefully, we'll have a special guest in the next week or two.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah, hopefully. So I want to mention quickly, JDSCT asks if there's any chance of getting it before Fan Expo Canada. I don't know, but what I will say is I'm going to bring some back with me. I'll bring you one. I'll see you there. I'm going to be at Fan Expo, so I'll make sure to have a couple. I'll bring you one.
We'll have some. We'll bring some soft covers for sure. But if you donated for the hardcover, well, let me know. I'll try to have it out before Toronto, but we're doing our best to get everything organized for everybody.
It's JDSCT though, Jason. So I'm gonna bring him his.
Okay.
He's been around for a long time.
I'm gonna give it to you then.
Okay. I'll take responsibility.
All right.
Yeah, this is where I love the pencil crayon, by the way. Because afterwards, now I can see form a little better for some reason, and I'll go in and tighten up a little bit. So it's back and forth process for me.
Isn't your paper wet?
It is, and it kind of makes the pencil change color, or sort of dilutes it almost.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It's not terribly wet, but
just wet enough to have an effect on it. See, that's one place where I want to go back in time to earlier today and not have done the red, so I could kind of follow along. Although when you said pencil crayon, I really thought you just meant red colored pencil, which is what mine is. So, but I got a lot of red on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think yours already looks stellar. You kind of got your shadows all blocked in. Like I'm still going to be searching for that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what colors you choose to get your shadows.
So I'm going to jump in. See, I'm leaving this arm. I don't like it. I don't like this arm. So I'm leaving that stuff to last because I'm going to change it. I know that. Yeah, and I'm just going to bring in a brown right now, like maybe a reddish brown or something. and start with those heavy blacks.
All right. So for my brown, I'm going with burnt sienna and raw umber, because it's kind of what I've got. So, and I do actually have a brown. Maybe I'll use a little bit of that too. There we go. My brown though is it's actually gouache. The other ones are watercolor, but I didn't have like a straight up brown or a anyway, using gouache brown. Here we go. Oh no. My paint was too wet.
Are you using Bristol, Dave?
You're kidding me.
I'm using what I got. I don't know. It just, the minute I put the paint down, it just bled. Now I'm kind of getting the hang of it. Look, it's going a little better. Just made a mess right away.
It's a really good idea about putting the colored pencil over the wet paper. Get you kind of a nice softer feel on there.
And if you asked me, I would have said, "Oh no, that can't be done."
Yeah, definitely gonna try that out.
Yep.
Kind of hue shifts it a bit too. So, Cary, in general, do you always use red, or do you like change it up if you have cooler subject? Or
Pencil crayon or just
yeah,
in general? Yeah, I mean, if it was Captain America, I'd probably use blue.
gotcha.
But I do like, and sometimes I'll use, green or orange just as a different, just to be different, I guess. Kind of brings out a different feel.
Nice. Okay.
It's very difficult for me to not just blow out over all of my lights, because I'm so used to acrylic where you kind of do that and then you bring it in with light paint, and you can't really do that quite as much. I know there's going to be some mixed media toward the end of this, but I don't want to get too carried away.
Yeah, I kind of probably I don't know, saturated quite a bit. We'll see. This is why I say I don't really ever have a plan. I'm just sort of running on instinct at this point. But yeah, I like to add in I like to bring out the highlights and stuff with, acrylics or these lovely. You got to get a set of these, Dave. The Poscas.
Yes,
and they have some really good like tones. That this is like the basic pack, that they have like all these flesh tone varieties and subtle colors. It's really nice.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that for sure, especially just for conventions. Just being able to break out a nice solid color.
Oh yeah, for sure. Remarks and stuff is great.
Yeah, Chris Stevens does remarks with it's like the Molotov equivalent. Don't know the exact name, but yeah, he carries a pack of those and does remarks.
Oh yeah, he's really good. Oh man,
Real great idea.
So yeah, I think like David, you're much more precise of an artist, hey?
Yeah, I'm basically inking right now. I know, I can't help it.
Oh no, I strive to do that. I just don't have I don't know what it is. I always marvel at Sean Crystal, because he just, every line is like exactly where he means to put it.
Oh well, and so perfectly formed. I mean,
yeah, and with skill and everything. And I'm just like, these fat lines that just kind of, I'll fix that with whiteout.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable at this stage. The biggest problem I have is just a little bit later into the painting, when I start having to bring everything together. And I think that it takes just more experience painting to really know exactly what color to drop in there.
I find maybe with everything, with the exception of pencils, I always reach a point in any piece of art where I think I've ruined it and I want to burn it. And then I was like, I don't have time to redo this, so how can I fix it? And then I call it pulling it out of the fire, like every single piece I do hits that point.
It's a scary thing because I've heard that so many times, and you want to believe, oh, it gets easy. I remember learning how to draw. I thought, oh, I'll be struggling for, a little bit of time. But then once I learn how to draw these things, I'll be fine. Yeah.
Right.
So Dave, there's a
Dirty.
super chat from Ilaria TTG. Oh my goodness, Dave, thought of your art as I saw Bernie Wrightson's Batman art and his zombies. Just 1 second, I've got to scroll up. Have you seen his Batman and zombie work?
Bernie Wrightson's Batman zombie run?
Just his Batman and zombie work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, if he did a Batman zombie run, I need to find that. But yes, I'm very, very familiar. I mean, he was one of the all-time greats. He is one of the all-time greats. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I've got a pretty good collection of his work. I would say I'm as influenced by him as I can manage because he's just so incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd like to be more, but it's a tough thing to match.
Yeah, I got his Swamp Thing based on your recommendation, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, one of my favorite books, and it has Rudy Nebres, another one of my all-time favorites. I love his work. He is so underrated too. Like you never hear about him, and he is so good.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And then a super chat from Cool Cat M. Cary, any Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Magic, or Lovecraft art?
What was the question? Do I have any?
Yes, I guess
Or
he's
am I
asking
working on
if
any?
you've done any Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Magic, or Lovecraft art.
Oh, I did a little bit of Star Wars, like covers and things for Dark Horse last year. Actually, it was my first real Star Wars work, and yeah, for their Star Wars Hyper Space Tales, I think it was called, and that's about.
Yeah, I've done a tiny little Star Wars stuff. I did some trading cards years and years ago, and I've never gotten to do anything else. And it would be a blast. Maybe one day.
You?
Wow. That's looking amazing, Cary.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, this is a lot of fun so far.
Is this does this feel like a different approach to you than you usually do, or what?
Yeah, it does. I'm feeling much more loose and just kind of throwing in form. Now, mine's a little blocky, but it's getting
Blocky.
yeah. You've already got some really nice lines and some really like on her stomach is a very nice subtle tone, and I don't have that kind of subtlety, certainly with watercolor.
I'm gonna try to pull up on my iPad if I can get that working. I can't really see. It's just got this tiny little window of yours. Oh, here we go. Where is it? But yeah, I always like to say I just like making a mess until something starts jumping out at me.
I like that approach right now because
Oh, you're looking great, dude. I see it on the iPad now. It's like, yeah, it's fantastic.
well, thank you. And this is like no pressure because I don't know what I'm doing. So just have fun.
Taku Summarize a super chat. Dave and Eric, thank you for the amazing work. You're welcome. He's the gentleman that the Gambit of yours went to, and the Gambit and Rogue painting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, great to see you on here. Thank you for coming by. That was a fun piece to do.
Yeah, it turned out great.
I did that one in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 3 conventions in a row. So I was in Dallas, and then was Dallas first? I can't even remember. I was in Dallas. I was in North Carolina, and then I was in
San
San Antonio. So yeah, it was busy times, and I've just been trying to recover since.
Oh yeah.
And editors don't love the I had more important things to do than your job answer. That doesn't go well. So I didn't use that answer. I'm just trying to get through it. And it's not true. It's just, it's not true. If anybody that I work for is watching.
That's not your professional answer?
No.
American Discord says, Dave, please do a painted book.
I would love to. You know what? This reminds me. The what would you want if you could be a superhero question? You know what I'd want?
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to be able to stop time.
Yeah.
100%. I'll do a painted book.
Yeah.
As it is, it's just no way.
Yeah. Yeah, just talking to Greg Staples about it as well, and it would be quite the challenge.
Yes. Yeah. So you mentioned some black ink. Is that something you think you're going to do?
I mean, that comes in for me when I'm sure of everything. So later final stages, this is just me. I got to build up to that because I don't want to commit. Just ask my girlfriends. Yeah. So this is the point. I don't even know. This is where I start getting stressed out and stuff because I don't know what the next step is for myself.
Okay.
This is where I'd walk away for 3 hours and come back and be like, I can't deal with this right now. And do it tomorrow. But since we're on
you guys in 3 hours.
What's that?
I said, all right, we'll see all you guys in 3 hours.
But this is what I love about conventions and live streams, I guess, is you don't have that option. So I can't run away from it.
Yeah. I get so much more work done at conventions for that reason. You can't walk away. It just has to get done. So, yeah, absolutely.
Now, see, this is where I love pencil crayons. I think I would bring in, I don't know how many, you have a full set, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, I love this brown color. Is that the one I like?
I got a big tub, so it's going to take me a bit to sort.
I think that's it.
Okay.
But this is where I start filling up my darks and stuff. And
all right. It really does go on differently when it's a little damp, but it still does go on, which is crazy to me. I'm surprised.
yeah, these things are great. I love them. Have you tried those watercolor soluble ones or the water soluble pencils?
I've got a set of them. I've got a couple sets actually, and I've just never made them work. And ultimately, this is a Prismacolor that I've got. So it is actually not working the same way that yours is. So I know what I'm doing after this. I'm going on Amazon, but I'm going to dry this really quick so I can actually use my pencil.
What kind of pencil crayons are you using?
It's just a Prismacolor.
Oh, not the Cola Race ones?
Right. Yeah. So I didn't know, but I'm going to get some. I'll be ready next time. Anyway, I'm just going to dry this really fast. It curled a little.
Oh, did you tape your paper down?
No, I never tape it down. Too lazy.
Yeah.
That's all right. You can just bend it right back. I'm doing that right now. No problem. All right. JDSET says Cary stroke seems so casual, yet look perfect and planned after the fact.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
Got everybody fooled.
Really looks great.
Yeah, it really does.
I think Dave and I'll be using color pencils more at the early stage.
Well, not colored pencils. By the way, there was actually a question somebody just had. What pencils are these again? It says
Color-Ace.
Color-Ace.
Yeah, but you can't get all the colors anymore. Prismacolor sold that off, or they just stopped making it. You can get some. I think you can get like terracotta and maybe a few other colors, but I'm not sure you can get the whole set anymore.
Well, even just a few, I think.
Yeah, that's a pity. They still make Verithin, but it's just not the same.
So Verithin are not similar at all?
The Verithin are very hard lead.
That's kind of what I found, right? Like I found a sharpener. I've not had success with Verithin.
I've never tried those.
Yeah, they're very hard. Jim Dixon, are they wax based? I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. The minute you go into oil based, all of a sudden you have trouble.
Yeah.
It's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I tried acrylic over polychromos, and that did not work very well.
It goes this way every time I'm doing this. I
Well,
start
I
out
see-
and I'm like,
I
okay,
see-
I'm going to
I
follow.
see they're still for sale, Dave. So
Okay,
maybe I'm
well,
wrong.
I'm going to jump on some then.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because to be able to pencil over on a wet paper, I can't believe that. That's crazy. I didn't think there was anything that could do that.
Well, it changes it, yeah, but
Well, that's all right.
it's marked, but
It works though.
and yours looked like a Buscema drawing.
Well, thank you. He's a
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
influence.
Is he for real?
Yes.
Oh, right on. Yeah, you can kind of,
Mark
especially when you're doing Conan, you kind of see it's coming out of you.
Yeah. Well, Mark Silvestri is like my original big influence, and he's heavily influenced by Buscema, so that's kind of how I found John Buscema. I'm such an
great.
image guy. Like I found Frazetta after Simon Bisley, So.
After Bisley.
Yep.
Oh. I thought, I think it was Silvestri. I used to collect his King Conan. He was my first original influence too. And I used to collect his King Conan. Do you remember that series? It was like early 80s.
Yeah, well, I remember, so I worked for Mark for a long time, and there was a point he was drawing Cyberforce, and he had to draw a horse in a few panels, and he was just drawing it. Like, he's not looking at any reference. It's a horse in action. The mouth is open, and I couldn't believe it. And I said, how can you just draw a horse? And he said, well, I drew Conan for a while. I didn't even know. And then a few months later, Marvel had found a big stack of his art that they just never returned from years before. And so we all got to see a bunch of his Conan stuff, which was pretty cool.
Oh, you're kidding. No way.
Yeah, it was something.
That stuff was great. I love that. Like, yeah, he was such a big influence on me too. My first influence as well.
Mark Silvestri. Is that what you said, Mark Silvestri?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Silvestri is my first major influence. He's like the reason I wanted to get into comics, like his X-Men stuff.
Yeah, and I personally think that artists that are most earliest influenced by Mark are the best, obviously, right?
Oh, for sure.
I'm kidding, everyone. Luke Forwardson has a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. And it's great to see you here, Luke. He says, howdy, boys. I love all of Cary's Conan stuff. Yeah, me too, which is why it's very exciting to be able to get him on to do this. So I've seen Cary do some of this stuff at conventions, and I spend as much time as I can kind of hovering over his shoulder without just being creepy. So it's nice to be able to...
Always creepy. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, it's beautiful stuff, and it's already. I mean, you could walk away from that now, and it's an amazing piece. Don't do that, but
Well,
you could.
I still have lots of time to wreck it. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my iPad keeps dipping out. Let me see where you're at. What would you feel like your next move would be?
If it were me, I'd want to paint.
It's almost done, or what?
No, so I'll tell you what is in my head, and this is the problem is it's not going to work. So, but I'll tell you, because I'm more of an acrylic painter, what I would want to do now is start putting in some opaque kind of flesh tones. That is totally what I'd be thinking. So I'm lost at this point because we're using watercolor. It's just not an option. Well, you're the guest. You get all the pressure.
Opaque. Well, so who are your big painter influences then? I know we talked about Bisley.
Yes, he's my biggest one.
And you do some great stuff that's Bisley-esque. I saw in your sketchbook.
Thank you very much.
I can't do that kind of stuff.
It's such a different approach. It really is. And I've wanted to paint that way for years, you know. Maybe unhealthily, I don't know. Glenn Fabry's a huge one for me. Jim Murray, basically that whole kind of English school. Greg Staples, I'm a huge fan of all that stuff. And then, you know, there are oil painters that I'm a big fan of, like E.M. Guest, who we were lucky enough to have on. I love his work. And then I love Andrew Robinson's art. Like, I think it's incredible. And he is definitely more along, you know, this kind of a line where, you know, it's a little bit more free. We had him on, and it was so hard for me to follow what he was doing. I just, and his looked beautiful, but I couldn't do it.
Dude, I sit beside that guy at like so many shows and conventions and stuff, and just like still trying to pick up what the heck he's doing. Like, he's on another level.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, there are some artists like that, and you can drive yourself crazy. You know, like I've spent so many years comparing, you know, and it's just it's a pathway to misery.
It really is. Luckily, we don't have too much time to really worry about it. So I think that's the one benefit of being a comic book artist.
What do you say?
Just not having time to do one.
Oh, right. Yeah, you just
better, you know.
Just got to make the donuts.
Yeah.
My old editor at Marvel, Ralph Macchio, used to tell me to stop polishing the apple.
Yep. For me, the problem is that's the fun part. It's like when I get the painting or whatever I'm working on down to like that final 10%, I can spend hours doing that, and I enjoy every second. This kind of stuff is a bit painful. It's like where I'm not sure.
I talk to so many artists that are totally the other way. Like once it's almost done, and they kind of lose interest. And I'm like, no, I totally agree with you. I like the last part. That's, you know, where I can start to feel it. I can see it, and I can start to bring it together. And then noodling.
Noodling, yeah. I'm
a little obsessive, so I can noodle, you know, for a while. Alaria TCG has a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. And it says, your opinion on Jack Kirby's art, any influence? Okay, I'm heavily influenced by Jack Kirby. I'm going to be totally honest with you and say that my influence is a little bit more second and third hand. He has such a huge influence over the business. I mean, you can really see when he came into comics and with the stuff he was doing over at Marvel, everything started shooting out toward the camera, and just from a design standpoint and a whole philosophy standpoint, he changed everything. And when I got in, and now I started as an image artist, and those are the artists I really wanted to emulate. Well, they're heavily influenced by that. I'm a huge Mike Mignola fan who has Jack Kirby in there. I'm a huge fan of Walt Simonson. Like, I could go on. There's so many artists. So it's, yes, absolutely. But truth be told, it's a little more secondhand. And TZ the artist has a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, TZ. And he says, hey Dave, met you at Dallas, been working on my crappy colding folds and inking. Please never stop painting. Well, thank you. I certainly won't. And I'm so glad you're working on that. I remember stuff was really, really nice. But you know, colding folds are the kind of thing that they're a hassle. Nobody wants to learn clothing. Like it's a hassle, but they make such a big difference, and it's so obvious when it's not right. So I'm glad that you're spending a little time focusing on that. That's great. I think it'll pay dividends. And Greg L. Static Art has a $2 super chat. He says, Dave, great to have a stream. Those look great. Eric. Did we lose Eric?
No, I'm here. What's up?
Okay. All right. I didn't hear from you, but I thought maybe you're just chilling and drinking. See, and so for those of you that came late, I told Eric about the stream way too late. Like today, it was crazy. I've been busy. I mean, that's my excuse. There's no excuse for it. Anyway, so Eric didn't have time to be able to draw a picture to do this with us. Eric will be back with us next time. Well, he's here, but he's just not working, which is a real shame. But anyway, we're using blue. I got to get out my blue. Hold on. Get my blue.
Oh, blue pencil crayon?
Yeah. Well, we call it pencil, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of blue in the human body.
All right. So this is what I just found. It's a dioxazine purple, which is, it's more purple, but it's very dark. So I'm going to go for it. So what's your philosophy with the blue? Where do you put that?
I mean, I'm putting it mostly where my blacks would go. This is me building up to get the courage to put down a definitive black line somewhere, which may or may not happen. But there's also a lot of blue in the flesh, like in flesh tones, which you don't really think of. But yeah, like skin, inside of your like arms and stuff, in your face, like the 5 o'clock shadow on men. So lots of those tones in there that people don't really think or associate with flesh color. And it's also like, this is kind of mostly an orange painting, so throwing in some blue will, spike up the contrast. And
yeah. Now I will say I've been doing a lot of studies. Eric and I have been doing that, and I mean, you really pick up on it with someone like Frazetta. He's so masterful at that. And the truth is, I just, if there's a system that I could just learn, like, this is where it goes and that's where it goes. I don't know it, and I
oh yeah. I mean, like, it's like, well, the way I look at it, like even under this peck here, it's kind of almost like a shadow, but like, what's the word? Like an up, that's not the word for it, but an up shadow. What am I trying to say?
Like a
reflective shadow.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So you get those kind of tones.
Mm.
You know how like Jim, we used to do the lines back in the day on so, and then it'd all be green. That's kind of where I get it from.
Okay. Yeah.
That mentality.
I lost well over a year, almost 2 years, early days for me learning how to draw. Like when I was starting to work, trying to copy that kind of bounce light, I could not make it work. And to this day, it's not a look that ever worked for me. So
well, you love the heavy shadows and stuff. Like that's your jam.
It is. Yeah. I feel much more comfortable with it. And this is where, your work has a lot of subtlety to it. And it comes from, that kind of thing. Yeah. There's so much to learn. It's exhilarating and it's depressing. So much. Never
know it all. Yeah. One of my favorite, I mean, it's everyone's favorite. It's not really a mind-blowing thing I'm about to say, but Bill Stankovich was he's a guy I never really followed in the 80s. I didn't appreciate him in the 80s, but like when he was in his heyday doing his thing. But I'm surprised at how much I retained of his stuff, because that's the stuff I want to do what he does, basically. And a lot of it, there's a lot of things I'm doing that comes out and I'm like, that's very Stankovich, or I'm thinking about Stankovich when I'm doing it. It's probably a better way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a massive fan. It's his Voodoo Child stuff, I think, is his Voodoo Child. And he did the whale. You know what I'm talking about? The
whale?
Eric, it's the famous whale story.
Moby Dick?
Yeah. Yeah, he did Moby, and I think that's to this day probably his best work. I don't know, my opinion. But I can't get my head around it at all, which is a shame.
Yeah, I'm not terribly like I only had no little pieces of what Bill's done. Seminal pieces that everyone knows. But I would never have said, I got to put this delicately. It's not that I'm not a fan, but I never really followed his work, if that makes any sense. Other than like some Daredevil stuff and like little odds and ends, stray toasters or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm always surprised at how influenced by him that I actually am. So something in my subconscious was just pulled. And anytime I see him post anything, it's just like, my God, this is just like mastery at a level I don't think most of us will ever achieve.
Well, it's just so exciting to look at. Like there are artists where I can say, okay, it's masterful, but it's not moving. His work is just moving. It's really great. Rooster Blue says Moby Dick. Yes, absolutely. So thank you for that. And he says, bro, I found that Classics Illustrated of Moby Dick in a dollar bin. See, I needed to find that dollar bin. And he says also 2 issues of Havoc Wolverine Meltdown.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I ever met Bill Sienkiewicz, it was about 1995. And my favorite thing from him, and really the only work that I knew of, I mean, to be honest, which is so terrible, but it was, he did a Wolverine story. I can't remember who wrote it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. So I told him how great it was. And then for years, I felt like, I probably shouldn't have complimented that one because it's not one of his better. Anyway, I drove myself crazy with that for years.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So that's
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then I told him about it, and he looked at me like, "What? Are you kidding me right now? Come on."
Well, I'm always amazed anyone follows my art. It still baffles me that it's hard to see yourself as. It's hard to see what other people see in your own art. If that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah. You especially drawing just on your own. It's such a solitary experience, and going to conventions helps.
It does, yeah.
And and people come up and say, I love your stuff. You probably hear that a lot. And I'm like, oh man, like this is what keeps me going. It really is. And I really appreciate it every time, a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Otherwise, we're just we're in our own stupid heads. That's the worst place to be.
Yep.
So,
I have a Conan commission from you, Cary. Which
say that again?
I got a Conan commission of yours.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. It was like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. So.
Oh wow.
Been a fan for a long time. So.
Thank you. I hope it's decent.
What's that?
I said I hope it's decent, and thank you.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
This is why we do the channel, so we can do this like streams like this with some of the best artists on the planet Earth. All right, orange, switching orange.
Oh, sorry, man. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm watching, so if it's totally fine. You don't have to guide me through it. I'll look up and
Okay. Yeah, I'm just building those tones up and trying to find definition and searching. Gradually getting darker and darker. But this reminds me of a lot of artists. This is, to me, feels like a Sienkiewicz thing, or maybe a Tony Harris thing too. Have you ever had Tony on?
No, but he would be great. He's very good, and I've talked to him a few times. He's very, very knowledgeable. He actually gave me a really hard time about expressions one time. I'm like, I know an expression.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And you know what? I did actually. So it was good for me. Good to hear.
But this also feels like a, what's his name? Drew Struzan approach too, where he uses those pencil crayons to such effect.
Yeah.
Over sort of a light base.
So there was an artist that we talked to. You were there in San Antonio. I don't know if you can remember his name, but he does
The disc artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
and he's incredible. He was so good. I was blown away, and he was such a nice guy. And I'm the worst with names, and
I actually wrote it down because I am also bad at names. Clearly,
yeah.
as you can see right now. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Okay.
Was it Clinton? Clinton something?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, hang on. Let me see who's closer. Super
Greg
Hobart.
Art.
Hobart.
Oh, that's
Hobart.
right. Yes. No. Okay. So there you go. You can't ask me. It was Clinton. Dang it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't get enough of looking at his stuff, and he had a lot to say about Dries Struzan, who he's worked with for years. So we
really?
got a lot of behind the scenes, and basically, you know, to take like we talked for a long time. Conversation and kind of boil it down. He said that Dries Struzan is such a genius. He can just see 5-6 moves ahead with color. And so he spent time trying to paint like that. And he finally had to kind of move off and find his own way. And there are certainly similarities, but interesting to hear, as much as there are artists that I love, it doesn't necessarily mean I can work like them,
Yeah. I mean, I have a bastardized and also kind of attention deficit disorder in the sense that, like really get excited about someone's art. And then, then I'll see like something's shiny over here. I'm like, oh, that's exciting too. And then I'll kind of forget what I was, the track I was going down with this one artist. And I think that's kind of what leads to like style. People are always worried about finding their style. And I think that's just it, having a bunch of guys you're trying to copy at the same time. And you wind up with something unique. Yeah,
it can get a little schizophrenic, but then it can pull together into something, good. Greg Aesthetic Art has a $5 super chat. He says, Dave was wondering if you might revisit a shading tutorial. I don't know how to explain it, but I still have a lot of trouble with how to properly shade a figure. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Greg, the first tutorial I have coming out next, because I've got one ready to go. I don't want to exaggerate. It's not filmed yet. I've been so busy. I just haven't been able to, but it's going to be coming. And it is how to draw a figure at different sizes. So a tiny little figure, what details to take away, what to keep, and how to make that work, and how to scale up from there. So that's coming. It's not a hugely asked question, but it is a question that gets asked, and mostly, honestly, I see in portfolios. I think I think it'd be very useful. So I'm going to do that, and then I've done a few things on shading. Honestly, it's such a complex topic. I don't know that.
What kind of shading? Like
more the solid black and white shading. So there's rendering, which is like all the little lines, and then there's blocking in shadows. So I'm assuming, Greg, that you mean blocking in shadows. So you'll have to let me know, but they do kind of work hand in hand. For me, this figure here is all just blocked in shadows. Oh, we lost Cary for a second there, and he's back. Shading, it's coming.
Did you have how did you learn to shade? Just kind of, did you have something that you did to learn, or you sort of picked it up, or what?
How I learned, because it was a real struggle. I couldn't make it work. Was there were a lot of artists at Top Cow because I started at Top Cow's Image Comics that were big fans of Mike Mignola, and I was not. I hate to say it, but a young artist, and I liked all that image stuff, like the big. It's a different thing, and I was young. It's not so uncommon. Don't judge me. And anyway, somebody had mentioned, look at Mike Mignola, and I didn't give it a chance. And then I was looking at a picture from J. Scott Campbell, which is an odd choice because he's not really somebody that does a lot of shadow, but he had a face, and the lighting that he had on his face was just so clean. And for whatever reason, it just clicked with me, and I tried it, and it just made sense. And so I started kind of trying to go in that direction, just using what worked with that. It was just a little fit. And then I started looking at Mike Mignola, and that was a big help. And Frazetta was a big one. And Bisley. And mostly, honestly, what helped for me was just getting away from the image stuff. I just couldn't make it work. That's really what it was.
Right.
As much as I love that stuff, it's just not a style that worked for me at all. And it's tough because, no one ever said, hey, you need to draw like this or you need to draw like that. They were very open. but I felt like I could be risking my career, could be a real mistake to do it. And I finally realized if I don't do it, I'm not going to last.
If you don't do what, move away from it?
Yeah, just adapt, and
Mm-hmm.
and Brandon Peterson confirmed that for me. So we went to see a movie, and Brandon says to me, we've been friends for years, by the way. He says, "Yeah, they were starting to think it probably wasn't going to work out with you, but then you started doing this, and I'm like,
Really?
yeah,
Wow. This was Top Cow, or is that where you were?
yeah, it was Tough Cow.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, we've probably all been there.
Yeah. Yeah, there were artists that would just come in and, I mean, just beautiful stuff right away. And unfortunately, that was not me. And I found the more that I tried to pick up the lessons that I was learning at the studio, the further back I was falling. Like it's a real challenge. So,
Interesting.
I've said this so many times. I apologize to everybody that's watching and heard me say it, but it was Matt Banning, who convinced me to just stop and try something else. So I owe him a lot. I love the form.
Dave, how are you finding the pencils over watercolor?
I like it a lot. I'm a little lost. That's all right. I love the warm that you have under her breast.
Like right here?
Yeah. And I did kind of lose that a little bit. Like, I could.
Well, so have you tried this yet? So there's one thing I like. Well, I don't know if it'll work with those pencil crayons, but with these ones, you can go back in with watercolor or water and sort of change the tones too. And they'll kind of blend a little bit. They're almost water soluble that way.
Okay. Like you've got a cast shadow here. Or you've got a cast shadow there. And so I've got a cast shadow here. I want to try it there. Just with
Cary, I went and ordered a bunch of these colorways now. So it looks like they're not discontinued in the set form, but in their individuals they are. So
damn it.
I bought a bunch.
Chris Olet says it's always somebody's first stream. Repeat away. Well, thank you, Chris. I'm like an old man. I just say the same 5 things.
Dave, you need to order a bunch of these.
Oh, I'm going to. Yeah, as soon as we're done here, before I go to bed, because I'll forget.
Yeah. They have some singles like non-photo blue and carmine and maybe some others, but yeah, it looks like it's just there. But you can get now.
So I'm taking my brown and putting a little alizarin. So hopefully that'll work. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to do it. What the heck? I'm just going to go.
You're going to do what? I can't.
I'm using.
Oh, here we are.
Connecting.
Dude, yours is looking great though. You're
Well,
probably almost done, aren't you?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Jim Klein has a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Jim. And great to see you again. He says, speaking of studying a lot at once, I've been studying Dave Stevens, John Byrne, John Romita Sr., Alan Davis, John Buscema, and Joe Mad, all for inking with flowy line weights. Any others you'd recommend? The Conans look great. Oh, geez. Joe Mad is such a great choice because he worked for so long with Tim Townsend. Sorry, Tim. And Alan Davis, his work with Paul Neary is some of my favorite. I love that stuff. John Romita Jr. is a different example. He's much more of the inkers that he works with tend to be like Klaus Janson, much more textural, I'd say. So I think that's actually a great choice to kind of break that up and mix your influences.
Prime One Collector says, "Evening, gentlemen. This is a great treat. Finch and Nord doing Conan. I was lucky enough to get Conan remarks from both of you at Heroes Con on my Savage Avengers poster. Thanks again."
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, awesome. Prime One Collector. Those things ain't cheap, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They are beautiful statues.
What paper are you using, Cary?
Paper?
Uh-huh.
That's a good question. I think it's some kind of Bristol board.
Oh,
I didn't
gotcha.
have the pack anymore, just the sheets left. So I don't know what it was exactly.
All right, I'm gonna try and get adventurous and see what happens.
What can go wrong?
What could go wrong? Exactly. See, that could go wrong, Eric.
What's that? Oh no.
What happened? Okay,
I
it's
put
coming
in
up.
some blue, and I'm not so used to. There we go. That's a little better. It was a little strong, but you know what? It was not too hard to fix.
That's some Payne's Gray or what?
No, it's actually. What color was it exactly? Hold on. For those of you that want to know how exactly I ruined this, cobalt blue with raw umber.
You can lift it up, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's kind of working now.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
Imagine how you make lift it up, lift it up. Dave's done that to me a few times. I put a color down and Dave's like shouting at me, fix it quick, because it's acrylic, so you got to rush before it dries. What are you doing?
No. I wanted to put a little core shadow here, and I just blew right over it. Dang it. And Greg L. Static Art for $2, and thank you so much again. Greg says, for shading, I meant more for blocking and shadows. Yeah, I thought that's kind of what you were thinking. So, yeah, no problem. I'll, you know what I'm going to do is just another video on it and see how it goes, because they all end up being different, and it really is such a complex thing. I think doing it again, it'll end up being, hopefully its own thing and hopefully helpful.
One thing I was going to say earlier that I did that really helped me. So my progression as far as influences, I went like just as everyone else is getting in really heavy into image and all that, I started finding all these like old school artists like Al Williamson and Angelo Torres and Jose, what's his name, Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
So all these like old school guys from the 60s and 70s that were just master artists.
Yeah.
And they really knew how to do shadows and form, and I think that was a big learning point for me. And then I also discovered they were using a lot of like photo reference. So for quite a while I would take photos and then just up the contrast on it, so you'd really get used to seeing those kind of shapes.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn like how to basically draw a figure just with shadow rather than lines, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I always recommend that to people, like get a photocopier and some old black and white photos or whatever, and just up the contrast until you get nothing but black and white and hardly any contour lines and anything. And that's how I learned, like really cemented shapes for me.
Yeah, that sounds like great advice, actually. That I think actually for a video like that, trying that kind of a method might make for a better video than the ones I've been trying to do. I've done a couple, but it's a difficult thing to break down. Certainly has been for me.
Yeah. You mean in terms like to teach? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. I tried teaching for about 6 months at this like local art school or art store it was, and they had a class in the back, and I realized how much because I've never formally trained, so all the information I took was mostly visual. And when it came time to like try to tell people, it's like I had no words for it. It's like, you know, just see things and do better. And it was horrible. I was really bad at it.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many things I barely understand myself. And then there have been tutorials where I've had to do like a whole bunch of study just to try and figure out how to put a tutorial together because I don't know how to do it. And I mean, I do it, but I just copied it from somebody else, you know, so many times. That's my technique. I learned by copying someone else.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I don't do enough of that. I don't know if I've ever done that, to be honest.
Really?
Well, I mean, like copying, like the way you're doing it, you're like a very methodic approach.
Right, like studies.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, I always feel like I don't have time to do that stuff.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I should be doing my actual job and that kind of thing. But
you know what, though? Like, I talk to artists that do a lot of life drawing, and I say, yeah, I've never really done that. And they look at me like, what are you, nuts? But, you know, it is different things for different people. And you will find learning what works for one artist isn't necessarily what's going to work for everyone. So that can be a factor.
yeah, however you get there, as long as you get there.
Yep.
So where are you at? I can't. My iPad keeps dropping.
So this is where I'm at right now.
I'm gonna.
Oh, looks good, dude.
Thank you. Alaria TCG has a $5 super chat and it says, talking about old school, either of you fans of Franklin Booth or Joseph Clemson Cole, unbelievable masters. I'm so sorry. Unbelievable masters of their craft.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the last one. Who did you say it was? Franklin Booth and who?
Joseph Clement Cole.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I know him, but I know Franklin Booth and his master. Yeah, absolutely.
I know them both, but the truth is, okay, so Franklin Booth, I know very well. I know the other one, but honestly, I can't remember exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I know who it is, but I can't remember right now. So I'm less familiar for sure, but I've heard the name and I know I've seen it, and I'm sure he's incredible, of course. But yeah, Franklin Booth is. I'm a huge fan because how could you not be? But he's also such a huge influence for Bernie Wrightson, you know, and so many older artists for me, I find because of artists that I'm a fan of, like Bill Sienkiewicz. It made me a fan of Bob Peak and Phil.
Oh yeah,
you know, probably his biggest influence. He did a lot of golf, like Sports Illustrated type art. It's escaping me right now, but anyway, some amazing artists that I found through him, through looking into stuff.
Used to be a lot harder to find artists too. Like you'd have to really like go through those old bookstores and just.
Oh yeah,
I used to have some books.
I used to look forward to San Diego every year. There's the Bud Plant, and I still do. I'll still go, but there's the Bud Plant booth, and you can find so many incredible books. Now it's a lot of anime stuff, and I used to love that because it was all drawn, you know. So you got the cell drawings, and they were amazing. But nobody really does that anymore. It's kind of like a lost art. So it's more rare that I see anime stuff that I get into, but I always find something.
Pixel Moshpit said Bernie Fuchs. Is that who you were thinking of, Dave?
That's exactly what. Thank you so much. Yes.
Great artwork. Yeah.
Yeah. He's amazing. I mean, amazing stuff. And you know, you see some of those artists, and you can say, okay, there's Bill Sienkiewicz, but I feel like it's dismissive to say that about any artist that has influences, because you need to take that stuff and blend it into your own thing, which he has really done. So,
oh yeah,
you know, I'm always a little leery when I talk about artist influence that I'm like taking away, or you know, it's using white right now.
I am. Yeah, jumped ahead.
All right. Let me grab some white. Hold on.
Is this just white watercolor? Is this like P.H. Martin? Or?
That's just acrylic, this liquid X stuff.
Oh, great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to keep me updated. Don't worry. I'm watching. I'm more than happy to pick it up as you go along.
One of the things, I don't know, maybe this is obvious to people, but when I figured this out, I always loved it. It was like if you put on a thick highlight or whatever, it catches the actual light. Like you'll get physical light touching off of the thick paint, which makes it even more dramatic.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
always thought
artists
that
do
was
that.
a neat technique.
It's something I've never tried. Just like using texture paste, even.
Yeah.
So Eric, is it killing you? Do you wish you were trying this right now?
I'm really enjoying just taking the time to watch as much as I can. But yeah, I'm itching. There's so much I'm gonna try. Just
Yeah.
the pencils while the paper's wet, and just all the different color pencil. Yeah. A lot of this will translate to what David and I do with acrylic.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to try it out.
Yeah, you always pick up different things. So I want to go a little lighter with that eye, but not too much. I have to admit, part of me feels like cheating a little bit because white is a very difficult color for me to be able to get on there without going too far. But I'm not going to.
What do you mean, like too much white you're going to use? That's
Well,
what the fear is?
If I just, toned it, so I was using more of like a, not complete white, but like more of a light gray or light tan. Using just white the way that you're doing just takes so much control. You have to be really careful.
Really, I feel like this is the laziest part for me.
Are you even using? Yeah, see, look at that. You're using your finger too. All right.
Oh yeah, gosh.
David, soy-based Jeremy's asking, what orange did you use? I'm assuming the pencil. Is that what you're asking, Jeremy? I know the background was sepia, so probably like burnt sienna.
So Cary is using a set of paint. So he used brown and he used like a warmer, lighter brown. I don't know that they have names per se. For me, I used raw umber, burnt sienna, and actually I resorted to using. I've got this poster paint. It's gouache, which works like watercolor unless you add white. So I used it, and this is just straight up brown. So that's what I used, and yellow ochre.
And then for the color pencils, you used an orange, right?
Yes. And so the orange colored pencil, just to let you know. And the truth is, this is just the first one that I found. Like I've got a huge bin I just dug through. This is a yellowed orange. That's what I used. But it could have been anything. I just picked at random. Something that looked orange.
And then what are you using for whites? Is that gouache? That's acrylic that Cary's using.
Yes, this is acrylic here. This is such a blast. You know what? This is like one of those times. I don't even care. What's that?
I vlogged back on and I can see what you're doing. It's like looking great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter that I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't even care. I'm just having such a blast with this. It's the best.
Awesome.
There were things that happened when I started putting on the orange against the red and then with some of the blue in there, with the skin, because I feel like I never painted skin really, but just those couple of colors just thrown in there, it really, really worked. So yeah, that was awesome.
I missed what you said. Can you repeat that?
Sorry. So what I said was, they were just visual things that happen when I put on the. I had red, and then I put orange on top of it, and it took me a second to realize where to put the orange. I want to say this because tell me what you think if I'm like off base here, but I started bringing the orange around the red, like on the hand here. There's a lot of orange kind of coming out of the red and over the red, and I felt like it gave it a real glow. And so I started doing that kind of more figure. And so I had no idea, like, where do I put the orange? Well, that's where I started putting it, and it really did start working for me right away. I was very happy. And then there's other places where I kind of, fanned it out a bit, but something that you don't do, you have so much control, but,
I have control.
Yes. Yeah, you say that it's like a loose way of painting, but I mean, it is, but it's not too,
Huh. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad you're having a blast. That's good to hear.
I especially feel guilty for Eric not being able to do this, and it's totally my fault.
Wow, it's all good. It's really, really fun to watch. See it all come together. The Ginger Ninja said, your Conan would look even cooler with him in the snow with a white tiger behind him. You got 30 minutes to go. Do it. Yeah, I agree. It would look cool. White tiger would be... That's something I don't... Could you just draw a tiger like right now? And I'm not going to ask you to do it, but is that something that you could do, or... I
could do a lot better at a tiger. I used to, so before I got into comics as a kid, so I started late at 14 when I discovered comic books.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I used to draw animals all the time. My dad used to go to, he was in art college back in, when he was a teenager. And so he had all these instructional books laying around. And one of them was this great how to draw animal books. So I had lots of that kind of material. So I'd just kind of always be drawing that. So I have sort of a jump on animals that way. I kind of have a basic understanding of how to approach them that I don't think I would have got if I was just trying to draw, comic books.
Yeah.
So I could do a pretty decent tiger. Plus I love big cats and stuff anyway. Horses are a pain in the rear end. That's, no matter how many times I've drawn one, which is a lot, they're always a struggle, and I always wish I didn't have to draw one.
Yeah, I've never gotten comfortable at drawing animals, and I could draw a white tiger right now, no problem. It just wouldn't look like a white tiger. I don't know what it would look like, but it would not be good. So, it's something. Add that to the list of things I need to learn how to do properly.
You need to get some wildlife artist on your show and just to take you to task.
It'd be a lot of fun, get something a little different.
Sound like Aaron Blaze or something.
Yeah. Well, he's like a Disney wildlife artist.
Yeah.
He's a straight up wildlife artist too.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's got so much range. He's a lot for me like Claire Wendling, who can do very realistic, beautiful animals, and she can also cartoon them to a huge degree.
Right.
So, great stuff.
So I think I'm gonna wreck this now.
All right, here we go.
Wait.
This is ink.
Maybe. See, I'm afraid right now. I don't know what to do. I'm wrenching my hands. What do I do next? Are you gonna throw down heavy ink on yours, or what? What's your plan?
I don't know, but I'll do it. If you do it, I'm gonna do it.
Whew, I'm scared. What's gonna happen?
Okay.
I like to start with those definite heavy blacks, nostrils and inside of a mouth.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly where I started. The inside of the mouth, and then the eyes with the eyebrows. It really makes them pop. I like it.
Yeah. Now this hip for some reason.
Is this even coming out?
So you're just aiming for some contrast, and
Are you asking me?
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. This is the part where I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of hoping it works out.
Just to see what the piece wants. Love it. It looks great.
But it's kind of light. Like David's is a lot more. You have a lot more contrast in yours. Mine's a little bit soft.
Yeah, I'm not known for soft, unfortunately, as much as.
Well, like I said, like yours looks pretty much finished to me. I guess you can add in like blacks never hurt, maybe. I don't know. This is where I want a real professional to come and tell me what to do.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist, unfortunately. None of us know what we're doing. Yeah, I'm throwing in a little black, but honestly, I feel like it's kind of. I run the risk of making a mess by doing it.
That's the fun part, right?
Yeah, well, and you did say this is where I make a mess. And to be honest, okay, if you guys hate this, fine, but I'm pretty freaking happy with it. I gotta say, I love how this came out, and I've got a lot to learn with this, but this is watercolor, Eric, and I managed to do a watercolor picture.
Yeah. No, I think you'd be happy with it for sure.
I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like it really reminds me of a Buscema Conan. A particular piece I'm thinking of, even the tones you have, kind of the paint strokes, like you sort of nailed that.
Well, thank you. I mean, for me, Conan it's Buscema Conan, 100%. And he's such a big influence that and Mark Silvestri is such a big influence. I just fall right into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was when I was, I was in comics for about 10 years before I did any Conan stuff. So 10 years of drawing, and no one had ever once compared me to Frazetta for any reason. And then I got Conan, and all of a sudden all that influence just came pouring out because of the subject matter. And that's when I got all these comparisons, like, Frazetta-esque and all that. It's kind of funny how it comes out.
You did a Daredevil cover after Frazetta.
Probably before I did Daredevil for the series.
Yeah, I mean, that was early on, and I remember it was that was a very Frazetta inspired cover. So I always that way. I always I feel like I don't know. It seemed like I could see the influence in there. Defiant Lugnut says, getting back into art after battling PTSD from the service. I found out art is my zen. So these streams really help me more than you know. It teaches and grounds me. So thanks a whole ton, guys. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're a bunch of Canadians here, aside from Eric and Jason. If you see, we lost Jason. I think he had to go to bed. He was tired. So, but we appreciate it up here in Canada too. Absolutely.
Yeah, arts is definitely therapeutic.
Yes, I cannot believe how much I love that picture. I mean, look at that. She's beautiful.
Yeah,
and it's so subtle. I loved it before, but just a little bit of line there is incredible. It's beautiful.
Right.
Wow.
See, are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I'm feeling like, oh man, I just ruined it. So.
Oh no, I love it. I know I was talking at my own picture like a jerk a minute ago, but no.
No, not at all. No, I'm just kind of like getting like, to the point where I'm like, be careful here. Be very careful.
And now a big trouble I'm having is my pens are just not wanting to go on the paper. I'm gonna try one of my these ones, Tombos, and see if that works. Yeah, no problem. Well, I truly had no idea what was going to happen with this one. You know, I knew it'd be fun, but no idea how this was going to go. This has been so much fun.
So you're saying like all these artists you've brought on, and no one's pushed you to watercolor yet?
No, as a matter of fact, and I had Brian Stelfreeze on, and I'm sure we'll do it. But he had another, so we did acrylic, and then he had another acrylic technique he really wanted to show, and it was so valuable to learn. I was thrilled. Like,
Yeah, I think the first one we did a lot of gouache, a lot of picking up like David Grove's technique. That was a challenge. And then,
Interesting.
yeah, the second one was acrylic and watercolor.
And I tried to get Ariel Olivetti to come on and do some watercolor. I do think he'd come on again. I really do. But
he's looking for he just needs to find a translator.
Okay, and he got busy, and so, but yeah, and we'd really like to do watercolor.
Yeah, I see Ariel's been doing a lot of watercolor and gouache lately. So.
Who's on your list who's your white whale?
You know,
that you haven't got that you want.
Simon Bisley, because I mean, you know what a big fan I am, so that would be an amazing one. Bill Sienkiewicz would be incredible.
Oh yeah.
Chris Stevens.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah,
I mean, I only knew him as a kind of Prismacolor artist.
Yep.
Like a lot of markers.
Yeah, when he still does.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah. He's just, it's so masterful.
He paints now.
Yeah. Ryan Brown. Big one. You know what? I've got such a long list of painters, but then it's not just painters. I've got, you know, so many, you know, line-based artists I'd love to have on too. So it's
Frank Cho as well.
Yeah, Frank Cho. Yeah, that'd be an incredible one. Eric's been. Well, by the way, I can't believe I haven't even mentioned Frank Cho has a YouTube channel. Did you guys know that? You guys know that? How could you not?
So good. So
yes,
good.
Incredible stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, and I'm sure you have, Joe Mad. Yeah, Martial Arts Studio says Joe Mad. That would be a phenomenal one. Greg Alstatic Art says would love to see Brett Booth on. I have asked Brett Booth. He does not have the internet connection to be able to do it right now. Every time I see him, I'm going to bug him about it. And one of these days, maybe he'll be able to do it. But yeah, it's, you know, I learned so much from so many different artists. And I feel like being able to present it to you, like there's nothing on YouTube that you can find like what Cary's doing right now.
Yeah.
It's just not out there. And now it is. And, you know, to be able to be a part of that, and you know, kind of, it feels like a real contribution. So I'm glad to be able to, you know, bring it to you guys.
Because no sane artist would approach it this way.
That may be true.
Oh, try to get Kent Williams while you're at it.
Yeah, that'd be a coup. Imagine. And hey, you never know. You know, we managed to get EM Gist. I didn't know that he would do it. We managed to get Jeffrey Watts from the Watts Atelier. Couldn't believe that. That was a big deal. So, you know,
Right
yeah,
that was Conan too.
Yeah, it was Conan too. And that one was all gouache.
Yeah.
I can't believe, like, it looked finished. I didn't think you need to do anything else, but just the black, it just focuses it so much. Incredible.
Oh, yeah, I definitely want to try that. I'm jonesing to try that.
Just throwing black on top?
Oh, just what you guys have done today, tonight. It just looks so much fun, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, the black definitely provides just such great contrast. It's almost like, David's almost like adding the white on a darker wash, you know?
Yep.
It's just like in reverse. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. David Hilton says, I always regret not backing Cary's Kickstarter. David, you're banned. I don't have Meredith here to ban you, but no.
I mean, if you really want one, I do have a website. So
See, there you go. And I'm kidding, David. Don't go away. Ed Ergol says, Cary, always loved your Daredevil and your Conan is top notch.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
So speaking of website, what else you got going on, Cary, that you might want folks to know?
Well, I just did a new Savage Sword of Conan from Titan, which just came out yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that was my latest.
Oh no, have to get him to start from the top.
Another Conan story, and then not really sure.
That warm in the eyes is amazing, and that's unfortunately I went too dark, so I lost it. And this is where right from the pencil stage, I made it impossible to do that. So it's really something to be said about being looser with it. It gives you so many more options.
Oh, because you went like dark pencil right away.
Yeah. So I could get that kind of tone, but I'd have to go opaque paint, and ends up being a very different thing.
Mm. That's kind of a Frazetta thing, though. For me, like one of my big influences, like he had those kind of effects.
Yep.
Little, because he probably built it up. It was like oil painting, I think. Just
it's the warm cast shadows, just like under her breast. It's just so effective.
Yeah. So are you done, Dave? Like you don't want to touch it anymore, or what? I can wrap this up. I'm just like
no. I'm enjoying watching that, so I'm in no hurry. But yes, I'm done. I don't know what else to do. So I'm just I got to just watch in the beginning a little bit, and now I'm getting to just watch in the end. So
now I'm getting self-conscious.
We're all watching you.
No.
So how long would you say one of these pieces normally takes?
I mean, this is probably getting close to finish.
Yeah, I don't know what else you would really want to do. So I don't know if there's, I mean, it's like a statement visually, So I think it
needs more contrast, and like, I kind of want to go in and like fix some of these errant lines and stuff I have, probably with like a background, something a little more opaque.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know. I never know until I get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, this is like done, I think.
Yeah. It's
Dave, this really makes me want to do watercolor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we need to try this.
It just feels so much more approachable,
Yep. Yeah, this was
definitely not diminishing what's gone into it. What I mean is it just speaks to how I guess we like to approach things.
Yeah, for me, I like to give myself a lot of room for error, like, and I think that's just like when this is a problem though when I'm trying to ink, like a page or something traditionally, especially, is that I don't have that. Like I'll almost do the same approach where it's the pencils aren't nearly as tight as they should be or could be.
Yeah.
And then I start searching with the lines, and then sometimes that doesn't really work out for inking. So it just tends to be more expressive than I originally planned. I always like to start out and this is going to be the Adam Hughes, and then then it never quite gets there.
I had a question. Do you seal this at all, or do you just leave it as is?
Did you say seal it?
Yeah. I was just wondering.
I don't think I do. No, I have in the past. But I don't really.
Yeah, you don't really.
Like I said, usually I don't do these unless I'm at a convention. So that's just sort of, whatever. Can't take aerosols on a plane, so.
Right. Yeah, I guess you don't really need to seal watercolor either. I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another thing where I never really learned about that either. So I don't know when to use it, or I just don't feel comfortable with it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people throw this under glass anyway. So.
Yeah, so I think I could keep going. I could also stop. I'm kind of at that point.
Like how you're smudging the ink with your finger. Too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Is that a pit pen?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
pit pen.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not even contributing at this point. I'm just watching.
If I can get my iPad, I can't even see yours, so I don't know what you're doing. Stupid iPad won't connect. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, if you guys want to call it, that's cool. I'll just keep noodling away, or whatever you want to do.
All right. Yeah.
I can't see when this is going to be finished.
Okay. Well,
Exactly.
I think we can wrap it up there. Then look at that. I say that.
That's amazing. It's been a real treat watching it develop.
Yeah, this has been
Thanks,
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I'm honored to be brought on and all. So
well,
Are you going to be posting this to Instagram, Cary?
I suppose I should. Hey, I forgot all about even announcing this on social media. I haven't been much of a social media guy lately.
yeah, kind of me neither. Really, I haven't posted on Instagram, and it's been a long time. I keep forgetting.
I'd really like to see this.
All right. Well, thank you,
Yeah, so-
everyone. Sorry, Cary.
Nope. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, everyone, so much. Be sure to check out Cary's work at Instagram.com. Cary Nord. Russ Hicks has a link up. Check that out. Also, you can find his website. Russ has a link to that. And Russ also says, "What a great stream." Well, thank you.
Prime One Collector asks if these pieces will be up for sale on the respective websites.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, this has been incredible. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys all have an incredible weekend. And I'll see you guys hopefully a little sooner than it's been. It was too much of a break. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Can't make my mouse work. Here we go. All right.